go see Bob this morning. Good morning, Bob. How you doing, man? Ah, it's cool. You got your Starlink on the top.
I love that rig is so cool.
There you go, buddy. You're just a thirsty boy. Let's go outside. You want to go outside? Let's go. Give me that. All right, let's go. You want to go see Sierra? Where's little Sierra at? Oh boy, come here, guy. What you got, Sierra? Oh, who's that? I've got such good B-roll of Cody running around this morning and Sierra. In today's video, what I've got is Bob Wells came to visit. He and his team were here for 3 days last week, and it was so great to hang out with them. They are the coolest people, and it's just fun to talk about nomad living, off-grid living, also doing YouTube, you know, stuff like that, and the rat race. And so the last day that they were here, Bob and I sat on my porch and just had a real nice casual conversation, so I wanted to share that with y'all this morning. So I hope you enjoy this nice little chat, and thank you for tuning in.
Cody?
I wanted to offer hope to people in this really dark time. And then in 2016, I realized by then that YouTube was the way you could communicate the most hope to the most people.
Mm-hmm.
And I have always thought of myself in the hope providing business.
Yeah. And what I want everybody to do is live their life on the way they see fit, because it's a happier society and we all benefit from that.
Absolutely.
So I just think
a bunch of miserable individuals is not a good society.
No. I was curious with your channel, you know, you do such a great job of providing people with all this knowledge. So you're almost like the best teacher for nomad living. And was that your intention initially, or did you just like talking to people, or what was the motivation to inspire so many people?
Well, the big why is that I fell so deeply in love with it that first time I lived in a van was in 1995.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. You were an OG.
That was a long time.
Yeah, that's cool.
When there was no one living on the streets in their vans back then when I was started, and at first I hated it. I was forced into it, but within 6 months I loved it, and my whole attitude towards life. And I still had to be in the corporate world. I had kids, so I couldn't just walk away. I had to support my family.
What were you doing in the corporate world?
Oh, well, it wasn't the corporate world. It was the rat race. I call it the rat race.
Okay, yeah. I look at it, I'm like, yeah, both of those, they're not good.
No, get out. Those are both bad. You don't want even if you win the rat race, you're still a rat.
That's true.
Well, that's not something to be proud of.
Right.
And so, I worked for Safeway grocery stores. I'd worked in a grocery store all my life.
I see.
And it paid well as union clerk, had good benefits. It took care of my family really well.
Cool.
So I did it all my life. And I couldn't get out. Even after I divorced, I couldn't get out because I had to be near my kids, had to support them.
Mm-hmm.
So I was forced, by the divorce, I couldn't afford 2 households, so I was forced to live in a van on the streets. And after like 6 months, I fell in love with it. It just became a real source of joy. But every day I went to work, and I worked with all these guys, and none of them liked their job any more than I did.
Yeah.
It was still a rat race to them, and they were rats in the race. Some were winning, some were losing, but they were still rats. And so I wanted to tell people, you don't have to live like a rat. And while I had a family, I stayed and worked there until I retired and had a pension. And when my last son turned 18, I left. I got out of the rat race and left because I had to take care of my kids. And when at 18, he can take care of himself. He went off to college, and he was an adult then.
Right. Yeah.
And so then I was free. I quit my job. I could retire. And that same year, I retired and left, and haven't worked in the rat race since. But I worked with all these guys, and so I wanted to tell everyone, get out of the rat race. You don't have to live that miserable life. It was just an urge. And I went online and found a Yahoo group. This was 2005. I started my website in 2005. And I went online and found a Yahoo group called Van Dwellers. This this was early internet. This was 2005, and so it was pretty early internet. And all these people, it had like 5,000-6,000 members, and they all asked the same exact questions. They all asked the same questions because they came on and they were interested and they wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, what I'll do is, and I tried to answer all the questions just as a member of the group. And so I thought, I'll start the website and I'll put all the answers on the website. And then when they went online, I could just send them to my website. I have a web page for that. Go look at it. Mm-hmm. That's all I wanted to help them learn. And then as they got into it, they could ask deeper, more meaningful questions. So I started the website, and I had it going. It's still going today, cheaprvliving.com. Mm-hmm. And then in 2008, when the economy collapsed, I was flooded with people who had just been fired, had lost their apartment, were now living with their family. Mm-hmm. Their family just lost their job. They were all going to have to move. They would Google, how do you live cheap? How do you live in your car? Because they were going to be living in their car. Mm-hmm. And then I was the only one there in 2008. And so they flooded my website. It exploded. I got all these, because my email at the time was on my website. And mm-hmm. they would email me, and I just knew I had to get this word out. I had hope in a dark, hopeless time. Mm. And
I remember those times. I remember when that recession hit, it was bad.
It was bitter.
It turned off overnight. Everybody's like, what happened?
Right. One day the economy was just going gangbusters. Everybody was spending money like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah.
The next day it was all over, and they were on the streets. And a lot of people have never come back. Mm-hmm. I talked to a lot of guys at that time who were in their 50s. They'd been in the company for 10, 20 years, and they were out. They were gone. Wow. And afterwards, when things started to come back, they were in their 50s, and nobody was hiring people in their 50s.
Absolutely. Ageism is a real thing in corporate. I saw that in the sales environment when I was in. I was like, they phase everybody up by about 40, 45.
Absolutely. They want to get a new young guy, pay him half as much. He's got more energy, and he doesn't have your knowledge and experience, but he can almost keep up, and he'll learn and eventually have 10, 20 really productive years.
Yeah.
And then they get rid of him too.
Yeah, totally. It's just a cog in the wheel, like we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah. And I have always thought of myself in the hope providing business, to inspire them that they can do it, and then to teach them how.
I look at what you've done as like extremely valuable thing for humanity, because as we've talked about both on camera and off, the corporate world and the grind is just that. It's a grind.
It's a grind.
And it wears most people down.
Right.
And I think it takes away a lot of motivation in life too, and it steals dreams, and it makes you live a life that you feel you get kind of boiled down to really basic vanilla living. And that's what I felt, And so the good that you do through your channel, I mean, you've shown so many people all these different folks that are doing it different ways. So there's something for everybody on there, and somebody can find something and go, yeah, I can do that. I love it when you do something out of a passion, and then you can make a living from it, and you didn't, that wasn't your intention. Same with this, like, with what I was doing with my channel, I just liked going out camping. And when I got Sierra, when I saw the joy on her face when we get on hiking trails, I'm like, we're doing this every day. Because it brought so much joy to my life to see her so happy.
Right.
And then we got out and started meeting people and met other nomads who had such interesting perspectives on life. And you know what I noticed? This is after 2008, and I had been trying to put my life back together. And obviously, we're in 2015 when I hit the road. But it seemed like that hangover from 2008 just held for years for so many people.
Oh yeah,
and it
just still haven't recovered.
Yeah, it just hung over the economy for so long. And when I went out in 2015, the thing I noticed the most is the people that were out full time. All they wanted was just an opportunity to be happy.
Yes.
It wasn't like, hey, I want to inherit $1 billion. I want to live at the big house on the hill. I just want to have a good day, and I want to have it without the corporate grind, and I don't want that toxic environment in my life. And once I identified that, I clung on to that, and I was like, this is my saving grace, and it brought me back. It made me believe in people again, because I was not a fan of humanity when I hit the road. I had gone through so much with the prescription pills, and corporate life wasn't going well. Once I was deemed unemployed, my income just went in the toilet, and things were a struggle. And then I got back out on the road, and I was like, there are good people. You get away from the news cycle, and you get away from the hustle and bustle of society and get out in nature, and most everyone's an awesome person. But you know, with your channel, it's just I just look at that and I have so much respect for what you've done and your dedication to it. You know, you've been doing it for a long time, and you still have that same solid message of get out there and live your life on your terms.
Yeah, something I learned, a thought that occurred to me a long time ago is a thought that I hold on to and cherish. And that was the idea of the Titanic. You know, when the Titanic, the ship that sank, of course, went down, it had only half as many lifeboats as it needed.
Mm-hmm.
But so half the people were going to die no matter what because the water was so cold. And when they went the boats down, it was such a chaos that a lot of the boats left. They could hold like 60, 70 people, and a lot of them left with 5 or 10 people.
Yeah.
And then there was always a ship's crew member on the boat because they had to man the boat. And they would say, let's go back. We've got to go back. We can't leave these people in the water. And the people in the boat would mutiny and say, no, they'll swamp us and we'll all die. Kind of a valid point.
Yeah.
But they would say that, and they would threaten him. We will kill you and throw you over. We will not go back. That's all documented stories.
Yeah.
So eventually in the dark, they all met and they transferred them in, and the boats, boat to boat, the empty boats got together and became full boats. And then those guys went back, but they were all dead by then. I think they recovered one person after.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that. They recovered one person.
Yeah.
And he was like almost frozen all the way through.
I think that one guy did recover. But yeah, it took so long for them to gather together, get all transferred, come back. So the idea occurred to me, and I have over the years, people have written me so many times, told me in person, stop telling people they're going to swamp the boat. We don't want more people out here. Yes, I learned about it from you, but that's all. No more.
Right. I get that too.
They got in the boat, and they were safe, and they didn't want anybody else in. And so I needed an answer to those people, and the Titanic is my answer.
That's a great analogy.
It is. The Titanic's going down. I believe with all my heart the Titanic's going down. People are already in the water. I've got a fleet of lifeboats. I want to get as many people in that lifeboat, and that visual image is what motivates me every day.
That's awesome. That is so cool. And you're right. I mean, I get it on mine too. Hey, I love what you do. I'm doing it too, but you need to stop promoting it. I'm like, no, this is for everybody. This is a blueprint for anybody who wants to get out of that.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't claim my happiness. You can't claim your happiness at the expense of someone else.
Absolutely. That's a great mindset. I don't know. I never thought I'd like it like I did. I mean, I thought for a year, I'm like, I looked at it as like a long road trip that first year. Yeah. But then to actually live on it and settle into it, there's a rhythm you get into that's undescribable. And I haven't found it in any other activities that I've done or ways of living. Even backpacking is not the same. But truck camping for me, I get out in these areas with Sierra in the middle of nowhere, and I know you do the same with your rig and with Cody. And you have those special moments where, like, the eagle flies by or the deer runs past, and you're the only person that's seeing that right then. And I look at those moments, I think those are the most special moments. And it has a way of slowing life down and really putting things into perspective. It's important to stay connected to who you are, because I lost who I was in the corporate world. I became a robot for 19 years, especially the last part of it when I was on pills. It was horrible. And I'll never go back to that. And I'm glad that happened, because that showed me what I don't want in life. And all this stuff out here, the more I learn about people living off grid and the neat ways they do it, and everybody does it a little bit different, it's just exciting. And it's like engaged living. You're actually living. You're not just making it through a day.
Well, one of the key things that I've discovered is that although we're all, I consider myself very much an introvert. I go and hide. I try to get away from people. But even the most introverted of us, the most who needs to be the most in the backcountry, wants to connect.
Yep.
You want to talk about your new life. You want to share your new life. You want to help new people. And so one of the things I wanted to do right away was to start a way of connecting with other people. So I told you I joined a Yahoo group. Mm-hmm. My first group meetup was in a Yahoo group. So we'd all go online. We'd be on this, it's a forum. And we'd say, well, I live in Ohio. The first one I went to was in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And in Ohio, they have a bunch of utility land that the utilities have to offer recreation on. So they're free.
That's cool.
It is really cool. And so they said, we're going to meet on this campground. It's free. beautiful, come and join us. It's actually recovered land. It was a coal mine.
Oh.
They recovered it, and they have to use it for recreation.
That's awesome.
It is cool. Yeah, I think it's a big electric utility, or it might be the coal mine. I don't know. At any rate, we went there, and there were like 8 of us, 10 of us, and it was so great to meet these people who loved just what you loved, and you felt this connection and bond, and you shared, and you learned, and ever since then, I knew that I really wanted to provide a means of connection. So in 2011, I started the RTR, Rubber Tramp Rendezvous. And the first one had 45 people, the next one had 90, the next one had a couple hundred, and it's grown ever since. But it's that place where we all come together, and I started a forum, my own forum, because by then Yahoo wasn't as big. I started my own forum. People could come and join the forum, meet friends, make connections. We all need that.
Yeah.
And you find it, I'm sure you'll testify to this too. You find deeper, more connection, more friends as a nomad than you ever had in your old life.
100%.
Yeah.
It's a bond and an understanding of a different way of living that you can't describe to someone else that doesn't know it or doesn't live it. Because people ask me, "What's it like?" I'm like, "You got to just go do it."
Yeah.
Okay. It's like me trying to explain a haircut over the phone. You're not going to get it.
No.
You know. So
Or the taste of chicken.
yeah, exactly.
It tastes like chicken.
And you're right about that connection back there, because I pushed it really far by like my 3rd year. I wasn't talking to people very much, and I started to realize I'm like, I need more connection with people.
Right.
And that's when I started to reach out to the nomad friends that were, in 4x4 trucks, and we could all do trips together and stuff like that. And man, that was just what I needed. And then now I've got a wonderful group of friends. They're all nomads, or most of them are, at least part-time. And we have great stories and good places where we go, and we all have that perspective from being on the road, which is something that I'm so thankful for.
Right.
And the travel, too, to know of all these wonderful places that are still not discovered. There's still a million places out there where people can go where no one knows about. So I encourage people to get out there and just, live life on their terms.